Good afternoon. I am Judith Sebesta, Executive Director of the Institute for Competency-Based Education at Texas A&M University Commerce. I'm so pleased that you have joined us for the first in our new series of webinars, delivering practical perspectives on CBE program development and delivery. This webinar will be recorded and sent to you as well as archived on our website. We've placed everyone on mute, so if you have questions, please type them in the chat window on the right of your screen, and when the presentation is finished, our speaker will respond to as many questions as he can. He also will share his contact info at the end in case he can't get to all your questions. For this series, we are drawing on the wealth of expertise from the trenches of CBE that exists here in our great state of Texas. I'm so pleased that our first expert is the Institute's very own Carlos Rivers, who'll be giving us tips and strategies for developing a data-driven CBE program. Carlos Rivers serves as the Operations Research Analyst, or as I like to call him, the Data Guru for the Institute. He focuses primarily on historical data collection and analysis for Texas A&M University Commerce's affordable baccalaureate degree, and establishing and tracking program-specific metrics that can potentially serve as a framework for universities and colleges planning to launch similar competency-based programs. Prior to this position, Carlos worked as a sales and operations manager in the technology industry. He holds an MBA from TAMU Commerce. Carlos, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, thank you, Judy, for that wonderful introduction. I hope everyone can see my screen just fine. And first of all, I would like to thank all of you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here with us today. As Judy mentioned, we're going to go through the presentation, and at the end, please just submit your questions, and we'll try to get to as much as we can. We have a busy schedule ahead of us, so we're going to jump right through it, and hopefully it's something that will help you guys along your CBE path. So the agenda for today: we're going to go through a quick overview of the TAP program. Then we're going to go through all the metrics that we're collecting, so what metrics we're collecting, and I'm even going to show you how we're collecting them. We're going to see student cost and time-saving scenarios, student satisfaction and post-graduation outcomes, and then we're going to touch a little bit on predictive analytics and an analysis of our transfer cohorts. So a lot to cover. Let's get started. So the BAS in organizational leadership at our institution has 99 competencies, 91 lower and 8 upper divisions, and they're mapped back to courses and credit hours for a total of 120 semester credit hours. The competencies in our program were defined by both faculty and industry. It is delivered 100% online, and students are supported by instructors and academic success coaches. As you will see from the metrics, we have seen high academic performance and accelerated time to degree. Okay, a breakdown of the program. So here, as I said, 99 competencies equal 120 semester credit hours. Our general education, 72 competencies are mapped back to 42 semester credit hours. Our professional development electives, 19 competencies, are mapped back to 48 semester credit hours. And both of these can be met through transfer credits or PLA. However, the applied major courses, which are 8 competencies, which are mapped back to 30 semester credit hours, have to be taken through instruction at A&M Commerce. We opted for a subscription-based model. We have 7-week terms throughout the year, 6 of them, at a 750 fixed tuition and fees per term. So it doesn't matter the course load that students are taking, they'll always pay that flat fee for their term. Now, before I go into the parameters that we use, I usually show this visualization to show you how we break up those 7-week terms throughout the year. As you can see here, the traditional terms, you have spring, summer, and fall. Well, what we do is we have added a part of term code during the full semester setting to split all our TAP terms throughout the year, and we are using mini terms as well. So we have a total of 6 TAP terms throughout the year. Now, I show this spreadsheet not to scare you all. It's just that when I started this position, you know, we got raw data. This is what we received, and leadership would usually ask us, what is the demographics of the program? What is the classification? What is the age group? And we would have to go and analyze all this data and try to identify all these metrics. But as you know, manual work is open for human error. So what we've actually done, we've gone out and we've automated all those metrics that we wanted to collect for this program. But before we even began to build the automated metrics, we sat down and we decided on what type of metrics we wanted to collect. So the first ones we are collecting are student demographics. Now, by seeing the category, you may see that they are very from our metrics from our traditional programs as well. So degree seeking status, freshman, sophomore, junior, race, gender. They're very commonly in our traditional setting. The only difference is that we're measuring all of these metrics every 7-week term. While in the traditional setting, you're used to that fall to fall metrics. We are collecting these metrics every 7 weeks. So the first one we designed were the student demographics, okay? The second ones we decided to collect our program performance, and these are the metrics related to in-term performance. So term-to-term retention, the term-to-term average GPA, and average semester completion rate. And what we're doing for these program performance metrics, we're actually keeping historical averages of each metric, and we're using the running average as a benchmark for continuous improvement for our program. Program efficiency metrics are those that are more related to students that have graduated from the program. So for example, average credits transferred in, how many credits did they take at A&M Commerce to graduation, and more importantly, how many terms did it take for them to graduate, and what was the cost. We have also included different metrics that are more in tune with serving the graduates, such as graduate education rates and employment rates. I won't go through all these metrics, but we're going to share this presentation so you can get a first-hand view of what metrics we're collecting. And here's a perfect example. So remember, 6 tab terms during the year, right? Well, here we show you we're collecting all these metrics since program inception. We started with just 7 students in tab term 1. If you ask someone like Dr. Hendricks, they'll tell you that it's good to start small. That way you can identify any business processes that need to be taken care of before you add more students into the program. And as you can see, by tab term 19, almost 3 years later, where our program is almost 300 strong. The enrollment change has been an average 28%, and the growth since program inception has been over 4,000%, believe it or not. Now, I'm not just going to show you the graph, I'm going to show you how we're doing this. We're using temporal parameters for calculating all our metrics. So while traditional, you would only use the term code. In order for us to break the tab term codes, we're using a part of term code to determine the length of the term. And it looks something like this. Well, if I was searching for our fall semester, I would just use 2016-80. But for tab, I would use the same 2016-80, but additionally, I would use the part of term code OC8. That way, I can separate 2 tab terms within the traditional term structure. So if I run this parameter, instead of trying to analyze raw data manually, now we've built these reports where we can see aggregate data. So right now you're looking at student classification, for example. So for term 2016-80, right, in the first tab term, we had 301 students. For OC9, we had 297 students. Now, the interesting thing is we added the ORG filter, and this is actually showing us all students that are enrolled in our online orientation. So the program director and their staff can actually try to forecast how many more students they will add during the next term. Okay? And with aggregated metrics such as these, you can do infographics or information, and you can start analyzing the data, which is what's important to us. So by seeing the classification, we can see that 87% of enrolled students in our TAP program are upperclassmen. They're already in their junior or senior level classification. and the average student transfers in 70 semester credit hours. Now, because I'm showing you on Excel doesn't mean that this is the only way you can display this information. You can use an active report, you can use a dashboard, you can use an HTML canvas, etc. So what we've done after we wrote the definitions of each metric, we went ahead and automate. So there you have ethnicity, gender distribution, veteran status, marital status, first gen status, and then we did age bins for the ones that we were interested in, and you can see it for each TAP term. I'll go more into retention and the graduates data a little bit later, but I did want to show you the averages. So look at all the averages that we've computed for our students. Excuse me. And again, with that information, we can go ahead and see more student demographics. So for example, ethnicities, 40% of all students enrolled in our program are minorities, and it has been growing since program inception. Gender, the distribution is similar to our traditional mix, a larger distribution of female. But when you look at age groups, look at this, 89% of students enrolled in our program are ages 25 and up. And the average age of students in the program is actually 38. Combined with the classification example that I just showed you, this shows that our program it's a completer degree that's attracting students that need education to adapt to their busy lifestyle and not the other way around. 100% of students are from Texas, and this term 8% of students were veterans. Now this is one I haven't automated yet, but I love to show, because 100% of all enrollees brought credentials from previous higher education institutions. Our community college was the highest mix, 68%, university 31%, and a couple of students have brought a couple of credits from an institute or a technical college, 2%. Process for calculating retention rates. So this process is simply determined by counting the same person in one part of term code to the next part of term code. It sounds complicated, but again, I will show you an example. So what we're doing here, we want to see if students from the TAP term in fall came back for our mini TAP term, the winter mini, okay? So once you plug in the data and the parameters that you set for yourself, we've actually automated the metric. So for fall 2016-80, in that second TAP term, we had 298 students enrolled. Well, in that mini term, 210 students came back, 29 actually graduated, and 59 did not return, for a retention rate of 80.20%. Now you might say, wow, that's really good. But remember, this is when they're coming back for a mini term. And so we can see a seasonality effect in our retention rate. To be fair with Dr. Smith and her team, their retention rate from summer to fall was actually 92%. So not a bad retention rate, knowing that this term suffers from the seasonality effect. And there you have it. Again, like all our metrics, we're keeping running averages of retention all the way since program inception. So it doesn't matter that we've added more students throughout the years, our retention running average has stayed strong at 87%. And we use this to benchmark. So if that term was 80%, well, we're 7% under our benchmark. But we can explain it with things like seasonality. Terms to completion and cost to completion. This was probably the one that was hardest for us to automate, but we finally got it done. So basically, this process is determined by counting the graduates' first enrolled part of term to their final part of term. And what we're doing here is that we're taking the total part of terms they enrolled in, we're multiplying times our 750 flat rate, and we're dividing it by the graduates of that given term, which gives us our average cost to degree. Well, we use the same parameters. So this example is looking at graduates from fall 2015, okay? And if we run the parameters, there you have it. the 25 graduates from fall 2015 together took a total of 151 part of terms, and the average cost of degree for those 25 students was $4,530 since enrolling into our program. And the average time to graduation was six terms to graduation. Now, like everything we do, we're keeping running metrics. So the graduates of the TAP program actually amounts to 162 graduates as of our latest term. Together, they brought in an average of 85 semester credit hours. The average cost of degree since program inception is $4,833. Average semester hours completed at A&M Commerce, 48. And like I mentioned, 6 terms is usually how much is their time to completion, which translate roughly into 1 year. And with all this quality information that we're collecting, we've actually gone ahead and try to compare against our traditional program, costs against our traditional programs. So this graph is showing you the last 60 hours of 120 semester credit hour program completed in 2 years. We're comparing against the traditional with no scholarship and also a traditional with up to a $3,000 scholarship. It doesn't matter the student scenario, TAP students are saving up to 33% more in comparison to students in the general transfer population who received a top tier scholarship. And not only 2 years, we decided to do the analysis for an entire program, just in case a student wants to enroll for the entire 4 years. As you can see here, the traditional cost is a little bit over $32,000. The TAP program is estimated at $15,000. The cost savings for TAP students is 54% in comparison to a traditional student population. Our friends at the coordinating board also did a couple of charts, which I'm sharing with you. What's interesting about these is that they also add how students can accelerate time to completion. So in this scenario, a high school graduate with absolutely no college experience could accelerate time to degree by 1 year for the estimated cost of $15,000. A student with 52 credits of core curriculum and 18 credits of lower division could accelerate time to degree and do it in 2 years for a total of $7,500. And the last one is more what it looks like for our students. They come in with roughly 40 credit hours of core curriculum and 48 credit hours of lower division, and they're completing the degree in 1 year for the estimated cost of under $4,000. They also divided the cost per credit hour, the annual cost of the program, and the cost of for the 120-hour degree. And like our results show, even against the average Texas public university tuition and fees, TAP students in this educational model can save half the cost required by a traditional program in the state of Texas. Now, because we work so closely with the coordinating board and we're always analyzing data, we decided to build a final report that shows all our metrics since program inception. So this parameter, what it's showing is that if our program started spring 2014, so spring 2014 to our latest term, fall 2016, and the reason why we did this is that, and I would recommend this, is to start data collection and implementing effective metrics from program inception to ensure the validity of these type of these new and innovative programs. And this report looks something like this. We can now share in the click of a button our enrolled on duplicate head count since inception. 623 students have gone through the program. We can see their ethnicity distribution. Here's our total graduate head count, 163, and additional information, aggregate information regarding our students since program inception. Now, we also recently surveyed our graduate, our program graduates, and we also surveyed a comparable control group. And this is the first time that we're actually sharing these findings. We have submitted an article to the Journal of Competency-Based Education, but this is actually the first time we're going to share. And this first table actually shows how likely these two groups are. The top 3 occupations reported by graduates. The first one was a management position for both the TAB and the traditional mix. And even though the second and third vary, you could see that they're related. So look at education, training, and library, sales and related, and when you see the demographics of both programs, they're very similar as well. However, when we get to program satisfaction, and what we're seeing is that the traditional graduates were happy with their program. However, TAB program graduates showed augmented levels of student satisfaction. So for this first question, we asked them how satisfied were they with their overall educational experience. And as you can see, TAB program graduates 86% compared to the traditional 63%, for a difference of 32%. Faculty and staff interactions, again, just augmented levels from TAB program graduates. The first question we asked, how often did they receive guidance or feedback from faculty? TAB program graduates, they felt 78% of them felt they received weekly guidance from faculty, compared to 42% by the traditional mix, for a difference of 60%. And the next question we asked was about the guidance or feedback from their advisor or their academic success coach. Now, this is an important question because we always argue that the academic success coach is instrumental for the success of these programs. And as you can see, look at the weekly. 50% of TAB program graduates felt the success coach reached out to them, in comparison to only 12% by the traditional mix, for a huge difference of 123%. Is this an indicator of retention, for example? Those are the types of things that we are trying to answer. Following, we went into affordability and acceleration. So we asked them about the importance of cost and acceleration when they were selecting their program of study, so prior to graduating. And, you know, very clear for TAB program graduates, that ability to accelerate importance, 56%, the cost of the program, 58%, much lower for the traditional mix at 18% and 29%. A follow-up question on affordability and acceleration. After they graduated, did they feel that they actually accelerated time to degree completion? Well, TAB program graduates, 84% feel they did, compared to 37% for the traditional mix, 47% percentage difference. And when it went down to the cost of degree, 84% of TAB program graduates felt they reduced cost of degree, comparison to only 21% for the traditional mix. Again, a huge percentile difference of 63%. Another one in affordability and acceleration, this went down to student loan debt once they enrolled. So did they accumulate additional student loan debt once they enrolled in our program? For the TAB program, 58% of all students did not acquire any additional student loan to complete this program. And the ones that did, that large chunk, 34%, said that they only accumulate from $1,000 to $10,000. For the traditional mix, while 33% say that they didn't accumulate any additional cost, look at these huge percentages at the end of the scale, from $10,000 to $50,000 in addition. So roughly 49% of students in the traditional mix accumulated large loads of debt to complete this degree. Employment outcomes, we're happy to report that both programs seem to have had those employment outcomes that they were desiring for. So when we asked, did you experience any of the following career development or advancement opportunities after obtaining their degree? Traditional BAS graduates were more likely to obtain a better position with a new employer, 31%, while TAB program graduates, 35%, were more likely to receive a promotion with the same employer, with the same company. Okay. Now here's when we get a little bit into predictive analytics, and I will try not to lose anyone with this slide. Just picture that the red line is non-persistence and the green line is persistence. Okay. So what we're seeing here is that traditional transfer students that registered full-time loads, 12 semester credit hours, are being retained are persisting at a much larger rate than non-persisting. But then when you look at that part-time student, look at the high levels of non-persistence. And in fact, these part-time students are the ones that have represented more than 52%, so more than half of all non-persisting transfer students. But when you look at the TAP students, they're taking roughly 6 semester credit hours per term, so they represent sort of part-time students, and they're being retained at a running average of 87%. So these students, through this competency-based program, are breaking a historical pattern that had been affecting the transfer population at our institution. And this one's even more, look at this mountainous non-persistence curve. Students that transfer in at our institution, transfer students that transfer in more than 80 to roughly 100 semester credit hours, have represented 48% of all of non-persisting students. But then you look at TAP program graduates, the graduates brought in over 85 semester credit hours on average, and they're graduating in just 6 terms from their program in less than a year. Again, these students are breaking historical negative patterns that have been affecting a portion of transfer students at A&M Commerce. Now, if you're not really into the predictive analytics part, maybe this graph will convince you. This is our accelerated time to completion finding. This is comparing traditional BAs, a cohort, our fall 2015 transfer cohorts for a traditional program and the TAP program. 95 started in the traditional, 131 started in TAP. Well, by the next fall term, so a year from they began, only 24% had graduated from the traditional program. For the TAP program, almost 44% had already graduated their degree, for a percentage transfer cohort difference of 57% between both programs. Now, before I open it up for questions, don't forget that webinar 2 is coming up February 28th. We're going to have a CBE course demonstration by Dr. Amardeep Kaloon from Austin Community College, and I am sharing the link right here that will take you to our webinars, and you will be able to register there. With that, I would like to thank everyone for your time, and we're going to open it up to questions.
We're just taking a moment to get the questions pulled up here, and then we'll just probably take them one at a time as they came in. And as I had mentioned, if we aren't able to get to all of the questions, then we'll be sure and put back up Carlos's contact information so that you can get a hold of him and ask him your questions directly. So let's just take a moment to look here at the questions. We're not seeing it at the moment. One moment.
Oh, here we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so how many more students do you think you will need for the TAP program to break even or show an initial profit, giving tuition is less than your traditional programs? This is Kelvin Bentley. Kelvin, that is an excellent question, and actually yesterday I met with Dr. Gibson, and we are going to be doing financial analysis on the program. So the following article that we're going to write is about financial stability for the institution. So stay tuned for that. Do you have any plans to invest, and this one's from Kelvin again, do you have any plans to invest in marketing for the program so you can attract more students in general from other states? So we actually, when the program first started, Kelvin, we actually did market the program. We tried to bring students that had completed at A&M Commerce a certain amount of credits, and we reached out to them by mailers, I believe. But I don't think we are investing any funds right now into the marketing of the program. It has become word of mouth program, and it's really taken that growth has been a lot due to the word of mouth of the quality of the program.
We should probably clarify for everybody that we ourselves do not run that program. We really have to tip our hat to Dr. Donna Smith and her team. She serves as the director of the Texas Affordable Baccalaureate Program, also known as the BAS in Organizational Leadership. And so she really is the one who is overseeing such things as marketing for that program. We've been very busy conducting research on that program and collaborating with them on collecting data, but things like that are a little more the purview of Dr. Smith and her team. And now Carlos is asking, is wanting me to answer something here. Which one are you looking at there, Carlos? Do you have to pay faculty to build your TAB courses? And if so, how much did you pay? Again, that's because we do not run the actual CBE program. It's not really something that we have the best information on, but certainly and I think that's Kelvin again. Hi, Kelvin. Certainly, we could put you in touch with Dr. Smith, and she could give you a better sense of the specifics of how we are paying faculty, many of whom are adjunct instructors. And here's a question from, oh, hi, Dana, from Dana Willette. Carlos, how are you conducting PLA assessment in-house, or is this outsourced to an entity? We're really not doing a lot of PLA at this point, to my knowledge. I do believe that we do let veterans, military students bring in PLA from American Council on Education, but to my knowledge, we're really not doing a whole lot of formal PLA associated with the program.
Great question. Here's one another great question from Kelvin. Can you remind the audience what programs you use to do your Excel spreadsheets? Kelvin, so what we're doing, we have a reporting tool called Web Focus, and what we're doing, we partner with IR, with our Institutional Research and Effectiveness Division. We put out what type of framework we wanted to look like, and then we use our business intelligence tool, Web Focus, to automate all of our metrics. So yeah, Web Focus is the program that we're using. From Shane Snyder, are most of the analytics done using Excel? What other tools help with the analytics? Good question, Shane. So the analytics are not being done in Excel. We're doing these we're aggregating the data using our BI tool, and then the report. For this presentation, to keep it simple, the output is in Excel. But in fact, with a business intelligence tool, you can create a dashboard, which we're in the planning phases of doing. You can have a dashboard. You can have it in an HTML canvas. You can have it in an active report. So, for example, if you want to dissect the aggregated data on an active report, you can actually, from the classification, show the raw data to contact students, just to give you an example. So it's not the analytics is not done in Excel. That's where the information is being outputted to.
And I see a question here from our next speaker in this series, Dr. Amardeep Collin at Austin Community College. Dr. Collin, thank you so much for your question. And it is, are there any plans to form any more 2+2 alliances to bring more students from the community college, which certainly those 2+2 relationships can be a great way to build enrollments for programs in general, but I think certainly they would work particularly well for a competency-based education program. And I think, Dr. Collin, I think, as you know, we do have a partnership with you there at ACC, as well as Eastfield College, which is a part of the Dallas Community College District, and Amarillo College, to explore the possibility of a information technology 2+2 program, a partnership between a community college and ourselves. So we're in the early phases of exploring a partnership like that, and I know that you and I will be talking about that, and I'd be interested to hear, I know Carlos and I, from anyone who might be working on partnerships like that and might be able to, might want to share information with us, or we'd be happy to share information with you as we develop those partnerships. So thank you. Are there any other questions that you see there, Carlos?
I think that was the last one.
Just take just 30 seconds here to see if anybody else has any questions before we close. Any other questions coming in? We still have a little bit of time. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this webinar, and I really want to thank Carlos for his wealth of invaluable info on data and competency-based education. Be sure to register for our next webinar with Dr. Collin, as I mentioned, and Carlos did, on February the 28th. And thanks everyone for joining us. Have a great day.
Have a great day, everyone. Thank you for attending.